having a conversation this morning with Mr. Phillip Baldeo, and most of you who are looking at this interview would recall that Mr. Phillip Baldeo made headlines recently. He contacted me via WhatsApp, flew in from the United States, and decided that it is time for him to defend himself. Mr. Baldeo, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Mr. Chase.
Right. What are some of the clarifications you need? Mind you, remember you came about 45 minutes to an hour late, so I'm going to have to stick in as much as I can. Go ahead.
I do apologize for my lateness.
Right.
But in addition to that, my name is Dr. Phillip Baldeo, MD, FAFP, an active practicing physician in Queens, New York. And I've been doing this since April 1st, 1994. And I've continued to do this unabated with my license intact. I'm a US citizen. I'm by no means under any sort of flight risk. And I see the things that are being published. But I'm so thankful, Mr. Chase, for you to accommodate me on a very short notice. And I intend to be of much help as you can to you and your followers in terms of clearing my name, especially the one that was highlighted so much in terms of something to do with human trafficking and abuse. And I want the interview to develop so I can tell you who I am, where I came from in Guyana, what is my mission in Guyana, how much I've contributed in Guyana.
Right. We'll get to all of those, Dr. Baldeo, but first we want to address the issues at hand.
Thank you.
Is it not true that you have acquired land on the Heroes Highway?
Yes, I've acquired land on the Heroes Highway.
Right.
And let me elaborate on that.
1 second. What is the name of the company under which you acquired the land in the Heroes Highway?
The land on the Heroes Highway was acquired under Harry Development, Inc.
Harry Development, Inc.
Yes.
That land, as we speak, is currently being developed.
Yes, it is.
Oh, good. So I want to know how you acquired that land.
I bought that land from the owners of the land from an LLC, or an INC, I'm sorry.
Okay. So you have no ties to new concept investment or luxury investment?
Luxury investment is my real estate company. That in 2013, I bought 30 acres of land in Providence. And it's anecdotal. It is going to be interesting to see how this was purchased. Given enough time, I will elaborate on that further.
This is the Richmondville scheme you're talking about?
Luxury Inc., yes.
You were taken to court for that matter, that Luxury Investment Inc. apartments in Richmondville. You were taken to court for that.
I think.
Right. So the residents of Richmondville apartment had accused you in that lawsuit of neglect, especially as it relates to the roads, correct?
I can elaborate on
if you can just answer me, and then you'll be given time to elaborate.
In its entirety, yes. One or two disgruntled members, but I've met with them since, and we're working out a solution of having those roads fixed.
Let's deal with the solution for a bit. The court ordered you to fix the roads, correct?
The court eventually ordered us to fix the road, or my employees to fix the road. Monies were allocated. The monies were not sent directly to fixing of the roads. However, let me explain to you that in 2013, I'm a practicing physician in New York City.
Yeah, we established that.
And I've been doing that for the last 35 years.
We've established that. Let's deal with the road.
So in addition to that, in 2013, I bought 30 acres of land from CHPA at the price in which it was fair market value, but possibly maybe a little
fair.
Bit
what was the
fair
cost
market value?
What was the cost?
I paid over $2 million, $2.8 million for acquisition.
2.8 million?
About that, including attorney fees and closing costs. And I spent another $2 million developing that piece of land. During the interim intergovernmental changes, the price of property decreased, and I thought I may very well end up losing my loans from the bank in the United States to purchase those lands, but I still continue to develop it because I think I owe the persons that, and I did the best job I can.
Is this Chase Bank?
And this was not the Guyanese bank.
Yeah, is this Chase Bank in New York?
No, it was not.
Which bank are you referring to?
I have several banks I deal with. It could have come from my TD account, it could have come from Bank of America, and it could have come from Merrill Lynch. But what I was saying to you, Mr. Chase, because you're alluding to something of a lawsuit, after owning that place for 10 years, spending enormous amount of money from my medical practice and from my real estate investment in United States. All I can hear about is the little rose. There are persons who bought lands from me at 7 million Guyana dollars and are selling them for over 70 million Guyana dollars.
Dr. Baldeo.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Baldeo. Just a second.
Yes, sir.
I don't want us to stray here.
No problem, sir.
Number one, you admitted that the government, that the courts instructed and ordered that you do the roads, correct?
Yes, they did.
One. Two, my question therefore is, why is the government now doing the road in Richmondville?
I have no particular answer to that. I will refer that back to my counsel and we'll get a response to you within 72 hours.
But you are aware that the government is doing the road.
I have no formal writing or ordinance from anyone that the government
But this is your land. This is your land.
It is. But
you're
so
not
is the
aware?
fact that I live in United States of America.
And you're not
my
aware?
total visits to Guyana in the first 8 years of owning that property, let me say until last 2 years, has been like one visit every 6 to 8 months. Recently, I've increased my visits.
So
and
here
we can get into that.
Here it is, Dr. Baldeo.
Yes, sir.
How many acres of land and where do you own in Guyana?
I can have my attorney put that together, but I can tell you anecdotally, the 30 acres at Richmondville, that was my development, only
That's
personal
one.
development.
That's one.
I've also engaged over the last, I think, 2 years, is to basically the acquisition of a total cost of close to 10 million US dollars in properties that are being developed and are building for me on Heroes.
Heroes
So
Highway.
acquiring land is not the modus operandi all the time.
No. I'm
Mr. Chase.
not saying that.
I
You were saying to
engaged
me,
him in a contract to purchase them once he's finished. And that is the tune of over 6 million Guyana dollars. And to tell you the truth, sir, one of the reasons I'm going to be here as well is we want to set up an Afro-Guyanese centric restaurant in one of those buildings. And I'm hopeful to meet with the head of
Dr.
state.
Baldeo.
No, I'm going to tell you, sir. I'm going to tell you
I
the whole
understand.
story.
We're going to elaborate on those later.
Thank you, sir.
I am asking you specifically
Yes.
about the lands that you acquire in this country,
Yes.
and you wanted to address the fact that you were saying that you have not donated any monies to any political parties in Guyana.
That's the other question you're coming to.
Hold on. Just now, Dr. Baldeo, we're going to get there.
Yes.
So you're telling me that you have not donated monies to any political parties in Guyana. Yes, no?
I can answer you, Mr. Chase, but give me some time.
Okay.
My years in Guyana is not just yesterday. I've donated money to PNC APNU. I've given money directly to that party. I've given money directly to PPP, albeit not a lot. The usual way is when they come to New York City, the politicians from Guyana would walk through Liberty Avenue. And if you have an established business, and Dr. Baldeo Medical Services has been there since 1993. I was the owner. I was the person who started it. And the person who employed an enormous amount of Guyanese, especially when our country was not as affluent as it is today. In those times, it was considered the barrel economy, where Richmond Hill and some parts of Brooklyn
Dr.
were
Baldeo,
contributing to.
we
No,
don't
I'm
need-
going back to that. How I
understand.
donated. I didn't come to Guyana in a paper bag to donate to politicians.
Right. The history of New York City and
Yes.
Guyana, I'm really not interested in. You made some comments on Facebook, and I'm giving you the opportunity to.
Can I drink this?
Of course
Thank
you
you,
can.
sir.
I'm giving you the opportunity to defend yourself, and I'll give this interview the same prominence as I've
Yes.
given the story on Facebook. You said that you are tied to which two companies in Guyana?
Luxury Realty is my company that bought Richmond, those lands and Providence in 2014.
Right.
Harry Development is my new company that has purchased lands not lands and heroes, it's bought 2 buildings on Heroes for a total value of $6+ million. And I've invested heavily into this country. Following the call of His Excellency that Guyanese come back home and invest, and being a patriarch of the Guyanese, not since PPP came to power, but even on the last administration was in Guyana many times asking them to do development in other parts of Guyana. I got a scholarship partially from Guy Mine. And when I went to Mr. Trotman and also Mr. Bulkin and asked them, can I spend my money, my philanthropic monies that I want to spend in my homeland, If I'm able, you can provide the land, I will provide the money and build 25 houses at the same time, because I lived at Amelia's Ward in Linden for 6 years. And it's the poor taxpayers of Richmond, of Linden, that paid for my scholarship sometimes when it was so hard to even follow.
Hold on.
Yes, sir.
When were your companies incorporated? I'm bringing you back to the actual subject.
Fabulous.
When were your companies incorporated?
The company Richmond Luxury, I am not quite sure the date it was incorporated. I knew I bought it in 2013 with 2 attorneys being my representatives at the time of the closing.
From the date of incorporation to today's date, you have not issued any shares to anyone.
I am not quite sure of the corporate
It's your
structure.
company.
Yes, sir. I'm a bright person. I'm a physician.
Well,
I know medicine.
you can be bright enough to tell me.
You asked me a question. I'm going to answer you, Mr.
Right.
Chase.
So you have not issued any shares?
I do not know if any shares are issued. Whether or not, it's inconsequential, sir, but I will give you that information in 48 hours, and I'll ask my counsel to produce that information and give it to you.
Again, I'm asking you this.
Yes, sir.
In the period that your companies were incorporated, can you show capitalization for these companies?
You're asking me financial and accounting questions, Mr. Chase. As an owner of a company, I think I'm supposed to privy to some of that information, but I prefer not to talk off the top of my head. I would love to wait until I have the facts and share them with you, sir.
All right. So let me give you a question, not an accounting question. You were saying to me that since your companies were incorporated in Guyana, all of the monies that were generated to purchase these lands, develop these lands, buy these real estate, came from your pocket.
From Dr. Phillip Baldeo's pocket. I funded this project. I purchased it for my money from the United States, wire transferred it to this country. I provided the development of lands, drains, roads, provided employments for thousands of Guyanese during that development, and all of it came from my pocket. Some of the profits generated, some of the income generated from the sales of the land went towards repaying the $5 million loan, US dollars, that came from United States of America off the back of Dr. Phillip Baldeo in order to provide employment for his Guyanese compatriots, because this is where I'm from and this is where I belong.
Thank you. Next question. Tell us about your relationship with Ed Ahmad.
My relationship with Ed, I've seen a lot of things you have published, and I will say, being in Richmond Hill, Queens, since 1994, Mr. Ed Ahmad was an iconic real estate agent and a businessman. He assisted our community in Richmond Hill, Queens, in getting representations.
Sir,
let me finish.
No, hold on. I need to know about your relationship with Mr. Ahmad.
I will consider
the history in New York and Little Guyana we'll deal with later on. But now I want to know about your relationship with Ed Ahmad.
I still consider Ed Ahmad a friend of mine. I've known him since 1990. He was instrumental in assisting me to help build my practice when I came from University of Miami-Jackson Memorial, the most famous teaching institution in the United States. I didn't know anyone in New York City. I called him and said, Ed, I need your help in terms of getting some publicity. And he did.
Good. Do you have any investments to give him?
I will refer that to my counsel and provide you with information regarding the structure of an organization if they're one that is existing. But you will get that answer in writing as well.
If I tell you that I am aware that you and Mr. Ed Ahmad have financial investments in this country, that you are tied, you, Dr. Baldeo, are tied to Mr. Ed Ahmad, where money and investments are concerned, you refer me to your counsel?
Chase, if you want to make that as a public comment, let's make it as a public comment throughout its entirety. Just don't pick pieces of it. You asked me my relationship with Mr. Ed Ahmad. Yes, he's a friend, and he's been a friend since 1994.
Right, well, so then I ask you about your investments.
And I asked you recently, I will say yes, and I will reveal its entirety. My investment in someone else's company is my business. But
correct.
Let me finish first.
Correct.
And I have the right and liberty to do it with my own monies If in fact it's contravening the laws of the United States, I will withdraw my monies from his investment, which is a partial amount.
You're making a commitment now to withdraw from Ed Ahmad.
I have not made a commitment to do anything. If it's not legal, I will withdraw.
Let me perhaps tell you the illegality here. You are aware that Ed Ahmad was convicted in the US for fraud. By way of his release, he was given, ordered by the court, he was given certain conditions, one of which is to stay away from real estate. If you are investing in Ed Ahmad's business or vice versa, and he has dirty money, doesn't that make your money dirty as well?
Chase, you will know how happy I am that you're giving me facts that I didn't know of. And I will ask my attorney.
But Ed Ahmad is your friend. He's your friend. You don't know since 19 whenever.
My friend were my parents, who are the greatest persons in my life. I am my friend who has to do all my work. Well, let me answer your question. If whatever you say is right, and I know you have an attorney's license as well.
I do not.
You're not an attorney. I will consult with my attorney the minute I leave your interview, sir, and be able to say, is the money that I invested from United States of America that came via my US bank account, is it safe? And if it's not safe, I would like to have my money back. And I will let me ask.
That is not the
question.
question.
No. Let me tell you what I ask. I'm not an attorney or a CPA.
But that is not the question. The question is your investments with your money directly seems to be okay. You are avoiding the question on whether you have direct investments with Ed Ahmad. That's what I'm asking, sir.
I have direct investment with a company that's associated with Ed Ahmad.
Right.
If, however, it is deemed that 1% or 2% of my total net worth invested with this individual becomes a question, a moral and an ethical and a legal question, I will be out of it as fast as I can on advice of counsel. I do not know the laws of Guyana, and I will depend on counsel to tell me, doctor, your money is protected or it's not. My role here, Travis, is not to get into dirty business with PNC, PPP, Ed Ahmad, and Sharif Ahmad. It is to tell you that Dr. Phillip Baldeo, yes, you call me a multimillionaire. Yes, I am. I work 18 hours a day. For the entire time I'm in the United States, which is over, 40-something years now. And every day I work because I have it within me that I care for where I came from. And my philanthropic effort that started in 2014 with the purchase of Richmondville.
Before you go on, what's the name of the company that you and Ed Ahmad got together? What's the name of the company?
I will get you all of that information, sir.
Man, Dr. Baldeo, this is your company. This is your money.
It is not my company, sir.
Okay.
It's someone else's company which I invested in. Now,
I will go when I leave this interview.
I will go when I leave this to find out what the nature from the attorneys. What is the nature of my investment? Is it a shares agreement? Is it for 50%? Is it for whatever the percentage? And I will come back to you on this program. If you provide me,
you
provide me with everything to explain anything that we're not able to get to today. What I want you to say, because as much as your media has actually maligned my name, maligned the purpose of, and even misrepresented. I'm not a practicing physician. I'm on an FBI investigation, etc., etc. I travel here frequently over the last year.
It's an investigation, sir. I can confirm that there is an investigation.
I would love you to share it with me as well.
No, I can't do that.
Oh, why not?
I can't do that.
I will share anything with you.
Do you know the name Zelamine Belichou?
Zelamine Belichou. I know a lot of names like that, but I can say quite honestly, no, I don't have an independent recollection of the name.
So you have never sent money through Ed Ahmad or by your own self to Zelamine Belichou?
Absolutely not. And I've only sent monies to people I'm doing business with, whether to assist with purchase of material, since I have US dollars, to buy them, because I think that's ethical and fair and transparent. And that is what I will continue to do for the rest of my life.
Very well. So the persons that you constantly send money to in Guyana or through, are they tied to your company? Are they anywhere on the company documents?
Well, you have to understand the business arrangement. If I'm buying from you a property that's worth $6 million and it's in the process of being constructed, I have interval payments that have to be made on timelines of construction. So at that point in time, I send you money when it becomes necessary.
Send who?
To the persons who are building for me. Because I owe it to them and I want my property and I want to have it finished so I can set up my restaurant, my Afro-ethnocentric restaurant, which I'm going for a meeting tomorrow.
Very well. So, in closing.
Are we closing so far, sir? I wish you can give me some more time.
I do.
Can you give me 5 minutes more? Because you have a lot more questions. You accuse me of human trafficking.
No, I didn't accuse you of human trafficking.
Well, let me explain to you. I will explain to you the way it is.
Isn't it true?
In 2000,
I will give you the question, then you can elaborate.
Thank you, sir. I will.
Isn't it true that you were sued in the United States for abuse and harboring an illegal immigrant and paying him less than $200?
You've said this so eloquently, Mr. Chase.
But that was a lawsuit, am I correct?
No, you've said it so eloquently. I would not even be able to say it so eloquently, even if I was to go back to school. And I spent 16 years in university and college in order to make my first check as a practicing physician,
Dr. Baldeo,
as American board certified physician. What I want to say to you,
Dr. Baldeo,
what I want to say to you, let me put the facts to you, Chase, because it
but
has.
you haven't answered the question
Yes.
yet. Is it not true?
You will have access. Yes, it was true.
You can elaborate. You can elaborate now. Go ahead.
If in 2019, there's a property as a black person, an immigrant black person living in the United States, you have no idea unless you've lived in the United States. It's a rough place to live, especially as a professional, especially as a successful professional, especially as a successful professional who moves beyond their field to go into real estate, philanthropy, and other things. In 2014, I purchased a property in Chelsea where no other person, well, to my knowledge, a black person like me, actually supposed to own a property. However, I was supposed to develop the property. What happened eventually? I got charged for something, not charged. The city thought I was doing Airbnb. I rented it to someone who then decided to do Airbnb. I had nine apartments in this building and rented it to that person who then did Airbnb. Airbnb sent notices to them, and then OATH, which is the Office of Special Enforcement in New York City, sent messages to them. It's illegal to rent for less than 30 days. They ignored it. The notice came to them, and then lo and behold, in 2018, I got a nicely publicized article, the first time in my life appearing in the newspaper. I thought I was
New York Times.
New York Times, I think it was, sir. And Queen's Doctor doing that. They never said what Queen's Doctor, who built 100 units to give employment to Guyanese who are displaced when the 9/11 took place on my own money, and rented them so they can actually start putting their own business together.
So that matter has been withdrawn from the court.
I'm going to tell you, it's settled, it's withdrawn, and everything else. In 2008, went to the projects in Brooklyn, New York, found that more Guyanese were living in the projects, built on my own money, 78 toddlers and infants, etc. Daycare center that cost me close to $3 million, and gave it to that community, which never had anyone investing in them because they were black, because they were poor. I knew I was black, and I could invest in you, and I had no apologies. I am black. In United States of America, I am black.
Okay.
I am a black person of Indo-Caribbean descent. Okay. And I hate when you guys started marginalizing Guyana with you being black and you being... Let me finish first, Mr. Chase, because I'm coming back. I'm coming back to you again.
Please.
Because bottom line it is you're making me as somebody who's gone against the law. In 2018, when I said that thing took place with Airbnb, my name was all over the place. The politicians who eventually recognized that, oh, this is not the person who does this sort of thing, but it already went before the courts, defended it, total negation of it, because I did not receive a dime out of the Airbnb money. They made over millions. I got my rental income, which was like $25,000 a month from my 9-unit building.
And what happened to the immigrant?
No, that's in 2014, 16, 17, 18. 2018, I started to redevelop the property because I wanted to increase the value of it. Hired a team to work for me, including West Indian. Well, it was primarily West Indians, including this Guyanese Indian, who I never knew. It turned out that when they were taking monies but not doing the work, and since I lived almost about an hour and a half, Queens, Richmond Hill, Queens, to Chelsea, New York, in traffic, even though it might only be about 20 miles, it's about an hour and a half, and I don't have that time of the day to spend. Okay. I basically go there maybe every 3 to 4 months. But initially, as the project started, they started to draw more money. Eventually, I saw this person who looks like me, talks like me. I said, where are you from? Found that he was from Guyana. I said, look, I want you to start taking care of the project from now. When he took care of the project, he did odd jobs for me there and there. He was not my employee. He never was my employee. However, very skilled person, very good at what he was doing. I'm happy to have him around. I always like to employ my own person, my own country person, because I
You're
could
saying employ again, and he was not your employee.
Meaning he was not, he had other jobs he was doing. He was subcontracting for me. Meaning if I have a plumbing job to do.
So who paid him?
I paid him.
And he's not your employee?
No, that's not the definition of it is. He could be a 1099 employee. What I'm saying to you, if you work for me, I pay you. You're my employee. You are some employee of mine, but I don't own you. What I'm saying to you, you have someone who has a skill.
Dr.
You need your work to, let me finish first, man.
Please do not try to belittle my intelligence. If you are paying him, you're his employer.
I was not his exclusive employer. He worked elsewhere. However, when 2019, when COVID hit New York
You
City,
employed him partially.
I employed partially, sir, if you want to use that word. He worked elsewhere, made income from other places. And he lived separately, had his own workplace, had his own thing. If I need work to be done, I call you and ask you and I pay you. Okay. In 2019, when COVID hit New York City and it was the epicenter of what was taking place, I still continue as a practicing physician. Even most of my friends in the field had left and worked in the emergency rooms in the afternoon, in the nursing home carrying bodies. He reached out to me and said to me, he's got a little baby in the Bronx who I met about 2 or 3 weeks prior to that. I never knew he had any kids. And said that he would like to be close to them. Can I give him one of the rooms since the building was now empty?
Could we put this lawsuit matter to rest by telling me exactly where it is right now? Is it settled?
Lawsuit has been settled.
Settled
totally, meaning the powers that be that brought the charges have basically decided there was no merits in it, but I would probably ask counsel to explain it to you better than I can explain it, because there was no merit in it. It's totally dropped and has not affected me in any format.
Did you go to jail? Did you go to jail in New York?
Absolutely not.
You were arrested though?
I was. Yes, I was. And erroneously arrested. Coming into my office, arrested by 12, person of my height, arrested by 12 detectives, taken down to the booking, and basically could not find a reason why he was being held.
Is the precinct? Which one of the precincts? Is it
Some in Central Street.
Central.
However, the thing of the story is that do not think that in the United States of America it's an easy business. I am a U.S. citizen and I would like to remain to the rest of my life. My only hope is that I can continue to contribute to Guyana under any regime, as I did. I asked Vulcan and I asked, what's his name? He wrote a book. I can't remember his name, Mr. All right. To ask to assist in some form of giving housing to people in Mackenzie, in Linden. And I cannot understand why you would refuse to do it. I have never been given anything by the PPP or been affiliated in terms. Yes, I would give donations as any person would who has a business. Mm-hmm. And I would be happy to be part of any government in Guyana who wants someone who's came from the bottom and who doesn't need your money to make him rich or to educate him, but is willing to give back to his country, because I understand my roots. I know you have some association with Plaisance. My father, a taxi driver, at the riots in '63,
Dr. Baldeo,
he was basically the only reason why we survived.
We're going to go back. We're going to get there. You sound like a historian. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to listen, but not right now.
Thank you, sir.
I have 3 other questions for you that I'd like you to clarify for me.
Yes, can I drink some water?
Yeah, you can. You can drink anything that you want.
No alcohol. I never drank in my life. I've never smoked.
Bless you. 3 questions that I want you to clarify for me. The lands that you have at Heroes Highway at Mocha Arcadia, you had engaged the Central Housing and Planning Authority or the Ministry of Housing to acquire that?
No, I bought it from an individual or a company.
That individual got it from where?
I guess they're owned by either CHPA or the sugar workers.
You've seen the documents?
I've seen some documents.
And don't you know where which company is that?
I don't know the name of the company, but I can furnish all of that. I don't want to speak out the terms, but I will furnish all of that to you, sir, anytime you want.
So you buy land.
72 hours, I'll ask Mr. U.C. Anderson to basically, sir, I'm mentioning your name. I hope you could. to basically have all of that information to you.
Thank you. That's one. Do you have any lands at Ogle?
Do I have any lands of a person in my name? No, I do not have any lands at Ogle.
But you are
I would love to have a piece if you have one to offer.
you are in business with someone who has land at Ogle.
Yes, I can
30
say.
acres perhaps?
I don't know. I've never measured it, but I think it's around that number.
Right. But you are in business with that person.
Well, I can say yes because I paid money towards it, but I want to.
And that is Ed Ahmad you're talking about.
The company is what I'm in business with. I'm not in business with Ed Ahmad the person, but I'm in the business.
Dr. Baldeo, this is the most important question of all. Are you willing to subject yourself to a lie detector test by the FBI, specifically about your funds, another source of income, and your ties to Ed Ahmad?
I would willingly do that, Mr. Chase, if you can also subject yourself to the same thing as to how you get your information, as to whether or not you're being funded by another organization which is asking you to put a law-abiding Guyanese medical professional of over 35 years practicing in New York City for the benefit of the Guyanese diaspora in both Richmond Hill among the Indo-Guyanese population and the Afro-Guyanese population in Brooklyn.
Dr. Baldeo.
If I've asked and answered,
you are aware that the FBI would not question me about where I get my information from. You said you've answered the question. You said you are willing to do so.
I am willing to do anything with the advice of counsel. I am not afraid at this point in time of anything. I'm not afraid of the education I acquired. I'm not afraid of where I came from. I was born in Guyana, parents from Plaisance, father from Plaisance,
Good.
Mother from Canal Number 1. I cannot take those out of my genes.
You have.
My DNA is to work as hard as I can for everything I have, and I've never been given a dime by PPP or PNC. And am I not looking forward to anything? No. What I'm asking for, can I contribute to this land where there's so much corruption in all aspects?
You said corruption?
Of all, let me finish first.
Wait, we said corruption?
Of all persons.
You said corruption.
Before and after. Right now, I think the two persons who are running the country are the greatest persons to run it at this point in time. But please allow us to contribute. If we have a skill in one particular field,
who are the two persons running the country?
Well, obviously the president and vice president are great persons. They run the country well because without them, PNC was a failure. I'm not saying the persons of African descent were a failure. The party organization was a failure. They're great people.
Oh, since we're there,
let me finish first.
You said on Facebook
yes,
that you helped to put the PPP into power.
What I helped to do when I met Dr. Chetty Jagan in 1993, when I was professor of medicine at University of Miami,
2020.
I was so thrilled as a person who never had any real ties to Guyana because I left there at such an early age on a scholarship, not because my parents were wealthy, but because my parents were brilliant people. Brilliant in terms of knowing that education was the only way out of poverty. And my goal in life is that I want to make my money work for the poor people. I want to educate them. Part of my mission statement on Heroes Highway, over the $10 million I'll be spending, is to make sure that I can provide education to the poor people, how to get you out of poverty. I am not looking for a handout from PPP or PNC.
Yes, thank you. I'm talking about not in Dr. Chetty Jagan days. I'm talking about 2020 onwards. You helped to put the PPP in power. How did you do that?
I'm not big enough as physically, I'm a short person. I am not powerful enough to put the PPP in power. The people.
You said you helped.
I helped because I basically helped because I made my patients aware that basically use your judgment when you're sending your money in your barrel, the barrels you're sending home. Make sure you understand from your relatives who are suffering how is it, what is the best means, what is the best approach that us as Guyanese, we have money. If you have money, bring your money back home, let's spend it, let's provide employment for the poor. I don't want to bring my money back here and ask for land and ask for privilege and ask for contracts. I'm asking, give us an opportunity to contribute. And that applies, even if the PNC gets back into power, gets wherever, use the same modus operandi. Help the poor people get out of poverty. Look after orphans and battered women. You will never go wrong.
Very well. Dr. Baldeo, I have to close this interview, and I will give you at least a minute to give me, your closing statements in your own defense.
I do not have a defense, Mr. Trace here. All I'm asking for is access to use my intelligence, my medical education, my 40 years abroad and traveling, both in terms of my education took me to University of Toronto, a surgical training at the University of the West Indies, Kingston, Jamaica, and also the most prestigious institution in Florida, University of the Miami, Jackson Memorial Hospital. And all of that knowledge I want to use before Exxon, post Exxon, to help Guyana advance. So my appeal is both for the people at the heads of both of these organizations to recognize that Guyanese in the diaspora can play a major role and a massive role towards alleviating the abject poverty in our homeland.
Thank you.
And one of my missions, sir, at this point in time, and I hope to have it done, is rope eradication. And that is the eradication of racism, obesity through the epidemic of diabetes and all the ramifications of coronary artery disease and premature atherosclerosis, and the poverty, sir.
Not
because I have been there, sir.
Yeah, hold on. You sound like a historian again. Not to interrupt you. You have a brother who's an attorney at law?
Yes, I do.
He's still a practicing attorney? Sorry?
He was an attorney.
Right. So he did call me. He said he's an attorney and he represents you. And I found out, based on my records that I've researched, that he was disbarred from practicing in the United States of America. So
that may be true, Mr. Chase, but Albert's achievements post this incident, which was a similar incident that was committed by a very famous politician who was a head of state in the country that I have, in which they call campaign finance fraud. I'm not going to go there,
right,
but you can read about it. He did not steal. He did not lie. He basically should not have done it. Campaign finance fraud is what Albert is not a criminal. But the work Albert has done in Richmond Hill, Queens, in bringing to light some of the issues that our people, rich and powerful, are afraid to address. The basement issues in which we got basements because the persons of Jewish descent were able to get their basement. Well, let me finish.
No. I can't wait until you finish.
No, I can tell you that when you accuse someone of something, let's say what they've done.
You're going back to history. You said
it's not history. Presently being done is what is taking place with ICE and immigration reform.
Doctor, you said
he's one of the persons.
You said it is true that he has been disbarred from practicing in the United States, and you said he didn't steal, he didn't do it, he should not have done it. Case closed. I thank you for your time, Doctor.
Thank you.
I am available at any other time when you see this interview. If there are other issues that you wish to clarify, you are willing to. But for now, I have gotten all the answers I needed from you. Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you very much for your time and your staff as well for giving me the opportunity of saying this. I would very much love, Mr. Chase, to be back in your program, maybe a little bit more
definitely
quieter, and explain to you, sir, how is it that we can use our money and our education to assist the persons. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. When do you go back, Dr. Baldeo? Hold a second. Could you take these microphones off so ensure that they're not recording?